Identity theft is a big deal in our technocentric world. It seems like there's been an uptick in alerts about our accounts potentially being hacked. And as a result, things have gotten a little more complicated. We're asked to change our passwords often. We get codes and text messages so we can access an account. We're encouraged to freeze our credit to avoid someone fraudulently applying for a loan in our name. For most of us, this is all just a hassle, unless you've had your identity stolen before. In that case, you get it, and you're thankful. That's because you know it can take years to undo the damage of having your identity stolen. Someone else walking around with your identity wreaks havoc in your own life. But there's another type of identity theft. It's a theft that steals and hijacks your beliefs, your values, your personality traits, and your character. It attacks the core of who you are. It's a type of theft that can so easily happen when you're not paying attention. And it's a theft that always begins with a lie. Because when we're being lied to, we don't always realize it. If we did recognize a lie, we'd just ignore it. But sometimes lies seem so real that they're hard for us to detect. In the same way that those phishing emails and robocalls masquerade as real, the lies about our personal identity are also masquerading as real. And when we believe those lies, we behave differently. We're being tricked by lies about ourselves. These lies not only affect what we think, but they affect how we live. Because our thoughts shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our behavior. There are a lot of lies out there that we hear, believe, or tell ourselves. But in this series, we're going to focus on 3. I am what I have. I am what I do. I am what other people say about me. So let's start with the first lie. I am what I have. I'll be honest, this lie can really get to me. I have a personality that enjoys trying new things, learning new skills, and picking up new hobbies. And every time I start something new, I tell myself that I need to own all of the latest and greatest accessories in order to be successful at that something. For you, it could be the latest edition of whatever technology has been released, or the desire to keep up with everyone else's great finds on Amazon Prime Day. After all, we're flooded by advertisers and influencers all over the world convincing us that once we buy whatever product they're selling, we'll be happy or complete or enough. And you've done it too. You've seen that perfectly timed ad and thought that if you could just have that thing, it would make things so much better, right? We don't think this way by accident. We've gotten here by design. We live in a world that tells us we need to have only the best stuff at all times. And when I say stuff, I mean the products that we buy that we don't necessarily need. We think that if we could just get that new pair of shoes, then we'll run better. Or that new car, then we'll be happier. The new skincare line, then our skin will look perfect. Or the new workout clothes, then we'll crush it in the gym because we just feel confident. And here's the problem with this mindset. It's rarely true. And this cycle never ends. There will always be something around the corner that's better than what you currently have. The second that you buy that new phone, a countdown starts until the next one comes out. We're surrounded by a system that convinces us we must have the newest thing, while simultaneously making it impossible to have it all. It's called consumerism. It's the idea that more or new always equals better. It's also the idea that convinces us we are only as good as what we own. The truth is that consumerism is a way of living that leaves us in a constant state of discontent. It tells us that we'll never be happy or never be enough without more stuff. It tells us that the more we get, the happier we'll be. Who doesn't want to be happier? The result of this mindset is that we've made stuff the measurement for success, even though we know people who seemingly have it all, yet are still searching for more. So the reality? Well, it's simple and true. We are much more than the sum of our things. So how do we shake the lie that's telling us we'll never be more than those things? To find the answer, today we're going to look at the Gospel of Mark, one of the books of the Bible that chronicles the life of Jesus and his ministry. In chapter 10, we find Jesus speaking directly to this idea of stuff and identity. Mark recorded this. As Jesus was starting out on his way to Jerusalem, a man came running up to him, knelt down and asked, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "Why do you call me good?" Jesus asked. "Only God is truly good. But to answer your question, you know the commandments. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely. You must not cheat anyone. Honor your father and mother. Teacher, the man replied, I've obeyed all these commandments since I was young. This man knew that there was more to life than what we see here on earth, and he believed that Jesus had the answer. So where did Jesus point him? Jesus started by asking the man a question about his faith. Had he kept all the commandments? Jesus already knew the answer, of course. Jesus knew the man had lived a good life by all the standards, but he asked him anyway. Let's read what happened next. Looking at the man, Jesus felt genuine love for him. There is still one thing you haven't done, he told him. Go and sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me. This man had done everything right and played by the rules, but there was one thing he didn't realize. His possessions were meaningless. The real life he was looking for couldn't be found in the system he was using. He had put all of his hope in stuff that would eventually leave him feeling discontent. The answer that Jesus gave wasn't to find more, but instead to change to a completely different system, a different set of rules to live by, to find his treasure somewhere else, in heaven. In other words, the system of the world is never going to be enough. Jesus looked at the man with compassion, knowing this was going to be hard to hear. But here was what the man did in response. At this, the man's face fell, and he went away sad, for he had many possessions. For a man who had it all and thought he had done everything right, hearing that it was never going to give him what he was looking for was just too much. Something was standing in the way of the life that he was looking for. It wasn't the fact that he had lots of stuff. That wasn't the point. Instead, it was where he had put his treasure, where he had put his value, what he was using to define himself and find his worth. His identity was in his stuff, and that was the thing that Jesus was calling him to get rid of. Jesus was showing him that there is a better system and has nothing to do with the stuff that we have. This guy could have had nothing and been in a better position than where he sat with all the stuff in the world. But when you've used one system to define yourself your entire life, it can be hard to find another way. After the man walked away, even the disciples were amazed at what Jesus told him to do. They threw up their hands and probably thinking, if a guy like that doesn't have a good life, then who does? It must be impossible to get this right. And then Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but not with God. Everything is possible with God. In other words, if we buy into the system of consumerism, it doesn't matter if we end up with a lot or a little. We won't find what we're looking for. It's a false identity because stuff is never powerful enough to define who we are. Just like the rich man, our things don't define us. Instead, it's realizing that God has more for you. God offers peace, joy, hope, and a full life. All the stuff we're looking for in life, fulfillment, purpose, and love are found in Jesus. It's way more than the possessions we have or don't have. We are more than our things. And if we believe the lie that we need things to be happy or enough, we'll be walking around with a self-imposed identity theft. As long as we define ourselves by our possessions, we'll be grounding our identity in all the wrong places. But if we trust that what God has for us is better than the material things we're surrounded by, then we'll never be left wanting more. So how do we apply this truth to our day-to-day lives? Just like the rich man, it's difficult to live contrary to the conventional wisdom of this world. It's a choice we have to make every single day. Defining ourselves with stuff is built into the culture we're surrounded by, and it isn't going to change anytime soon. But we can learn to ask ourselves good questions when we start wanting more. The next time you find yourself adding to your Amazon cart, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what do I want more of? What is catching my eye at the moment and telling me I have to have? Number 2, why do I want more of it? Sometimes the answer is simple. Sometimes we want more because we need more. We want money because we have debt. We want new running shoes because our current pair is worn out. Sometimes you do need more, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. But other times, there might be more to the story. There's always a difference between what we need and what we want. And then lastly, number 3, who is convincing me to want more? If we find ourselves wanting what we don't need, it's usually because someone has told us we need it. So who is telling you to look for treasure in a place you won't find? Remember, I am more than my things. Only God can give us the identity we're looking for. It's in God that we can find a life that will leave us content instead of a life that will leave us searching for more. It won't be easy. Finding your worth in God instead of the consumerism we're surrounded by is always going to feel challenging, but it's always a choice we can make, a choice to replace lies with truth. So this week, when you find yourself wanting more or comparing what you don't have with everyone around you, remind yourself, my things do not define me. Pay attention to the story you tell yourself about what you have. And don't forget to ask, what do I want more of? Why do I want more of it? And who is telling me that I need it?